Hush! Hey, y'all. Okay, tell me if you can hear me because I really set up so quick. Um, Obviously didn't even know what I was doing in the beginning, y'all. Whew. Okay, I am shook. I am shook from today, and I plan to go live. What is going on here with these lights? I look like, oh my god. I look like, I don't know what. Let me see. Oh, well, now I don't look like anything. Hold on just a second. I told y'all it's been crazy. Uh, I am really shaken up from today's stuff, the news. Uh, Somebody let me know if you can hear me. I know there's a delay. Dang it, I can't see. Need my light to see my light. There we go. Alright, maybe we can get something on here now. Let me see what y'all are saying. Sorry, I'm so, okay, good, good. You can hear me. That is the main thing. And I have no idea what is going on here. Woo! Let's change that setting. Let's change this one. Alright. I don't know. Okay, I still don't know what's going on. I still got some kind of weirdness going here. So I look a little bit weird. That's okay. That's too much. I don't know if y'all are as shaken up. I don't know if you've read the documents, and I know a lot of people are going live, have gone live, are going live, and I'm not doing this because I needed to. I'm going to talk about this tomorrow. I may do a day live. I'm definitely going to go live tomorrow night with CJ, and we're going to talk about this. But I'm obviously just out of sorts. If you know about the documents that dropped today, have you read them? Because they are, oh my gosh, the details. And there are reasons that this shakes me more than normal. I read about crime cases all the time. Y'all know I'm always researching. So it's not necessarily that. Let me start with my hellos. Professor Pug, good to see you. Raggedy Susan. Polygraph. Barbara Spicer. Just Deb. Let's see. Let me. Carol. Good to see you. Catastrophe. Unmasked Truth. Samantha Springman, how are you? James Powers. Hiawatha. Alright, and I know a lot of people are, look, like I said, a lot of people are going live, and that's okay. You can catch it on the replay. I did want to talk about a few things that are going on. I still don't have a light. Oh, that works. But, it's a new day. Hello. Whew. But I think it is the, I don't know. This is driving me nuts. I think it is the description of the crime scene. that bothers me. And look, I know some people are gonna, you know, say it's just a defense tactic. Could it be? Of course it could be. I just think there is so much evidence in here that we need to talk about, and that is what reading and we're gonna go over that tomorrow. I really want CJ to be here. I want somebody to be on panel with me when we together read the crime scene and all of those bullet points that are in this. But yes, Carol, it was an especially brutal, okay, crime scene. Seemed like a vendetta. Yeah, and I know you and I have talked, you know, a lot. We've talked a lot about this kind of stuff. Samantha doesn't know. Okay, if you don't know, let me tell you. There was a document dropped. It's a memorandum. It's I think it's 136 pages. I've got it. I've spent most of the day reading it and trying to process what I'm reading. And there, okay, let me just tell you why it's so hard for me. And I'm having a hard time talking about it because it has to do with ritualistic abuse and unaliving. And like I said, I'm not going to get into the details. If you, I did put I don't know if it's just a Discord link, but I put it on my community page. Ruckus also has one on his. And it basically, first of all, it shocked me because you know how they've kept this whole case under wraps. Like it was like pulling teeth to get any documents, you know, even the PCA, anything, until a couple months ago. And then they released, a whole bunch of documents that didn't really say a whole lot. And so it makes me wonder why Judge Gull let this document drop and be public, because it is very, very gruesome. And that's another thing. When we read it tomorrow, there'll be a trigger warning because it's bad. Why y'all that have read it, if you have any ideas why she may have allowed this, I mean, honestly, if everything in there is true, now understand this comes from the defense, and but let's just say everything they say is true. They've solved the Delphi case. It's done. Pretty much. There are probably some other players involved, but it is a full, really, outline of what happened. Now, I know this is usually presented in court, so it makes me think that there are some things that are viable, or else I think she would have just said, you know what, we're going to keep this sealed as well. It'll all come out in court, in trial. Yes, Kelly, it is unbelievable. It definitely goes into the details. I think so, Hiawatha. I think it does have to be at least somewhat honest and provable. But back to what I was saying, a lot of people, it has to do with ritualistic abuse. I don't know if I can use the T word. And unaliving. Okay, gotta keep this crazy for YouTube. But and I don't say a whole lot about me because this channel is not about me. It's not for you to learn about me. It is about true crime and advocacy. But because this came up in this particular document, it has really thrown me due to I have been a victim of satanic ritual abuse. Okay, something that you didn't know, something that I don't talk about. It was a long time ago. I'm good. Don't worry about me. I'm good. And actually, advocacy helps this a whole lot. So, yeah. So when I was reading some of these things, it brought back a lot of memories of stuff, which is why I'm just out of the frame, because, I have to go back as I'm reading this and understanding what they went through. It brings back memories to me, and that's okay. It happens from time to time. But if I seem shaken and disturbed, that is why. All right. But I am going to go line by line through the important parts. Now, not going to do all of it, but there are some things that I wanted to share outside of the actual details. And that's what we're going to look at tonight. We're going to look at some pictures and, yeah, some stuff. So basically, the judge has allowed this, and it talks about the sons of Odin, which I have covered from time to time, briefly in some of my other videos. I had to go back today. I couldn't remember which ones. And it has always been a thing out there. All right. It's always been a hypothetical. Could it have happened? But, here's the thing. A lot of people look at, remember like the 90s and the satanic panic and all that kind of stuff, and they don't believe. But it happens, okay? Does it happen in every case? Were there some crazy cases that weren't true? Yeah, probably were. But it does happen, all right? And if you don't know about it, then hallelujah. You don't want to know. But for those of us who have lived it and who do know, it is a real thing. So, yeah. That is why, I did delve into Sons of Odin a couple of months ago. Gosh, it was still a little bit chilly outside. And I found this very large document about, their beliefs, and I almost did a video on it, but it goes through their rituals, but it's not like the bad ones. It's weird, and it's hard to read, and it's long, and I'm like, you know what? I don't really think people are going to, be on board with this. But Sons of Odin, if you don't know, it is a group. It's from a Nordic or Norse, and I'm pretty sure Carol probably knows something about this. It started over there, okay? Started in Europe, but they're called the Odinites, and it is kind of like a pagan thing, but they all worship like Thor and, Odin and all this kind of stuff. The people over here and over there as well, some of them get into some very odd and fatal rituals. I don't know what I can say, but the unaliving ritualistically of humans, that is a thing, just like it is in Satanism, or some branches, okay? I won't say Satanism across the board because somebody's going to come at me. Some, supposedly, I don't know, some Satanists say they don't do that kind of stuff, and it's just a fallacy. It is not a fallacy, okay? It's not. But does everybody do that? Probably not. People do all kind of stuff. Thank you. But yeah. So, yeah, they have a lot of explaining to do. But anyway, there is a group, and y'all who are from that area know that there is a Sons of Odin group. I don't know if they're like a motorcycle gang type thing, or if they're just, whatever. But everything I've ever read about the Sons of Odin in that particular area has not been great, okay? Not so much good people. And, you have the drug element, and I don't know. If you don't live by a set of moral code or ethics, rules, whatever you believe, if more being moral, like what most people would think is decent, is not a part of that code, then what will you do? I mean, just think about it. If you cast off all restraint, it's kind of like the purge, right? You can do whatever you want. And that's the way, not everybody, but some people live. So I'm going to start with, yeah, Professor Pug. I agree with you. I have always had at least a lot of questions. We'll just put it that way. Um, because there are some things. So let me switch this up. Because I'm going to read, and this isn't going to be as clear. I've got the document clear, but because of the way I'm presenting, I kind of made a video of it, and we're going to stop in these places. Let me go back to the very beginning. This comes from the document. Now, this is not the bad stuff, okay? But this is what is in the background. So let's take a look at this first. At his August 8th, 2023 deposition, Sheriff Liggett was adamant that one person and one person alone, Richard Allen, was involved in the murder of Abby and Libby. However, off record, Liggett doesn't believe that one man was capable of pulling off all those tasks, especially in a short period of time, leaving behind a crime scene with no forensic evidence, okay? No forensic evidence. Now, you will see in here, there is some, but it's not from the perpetrator. It is bad. It is horrible. But not the perps. Let's see. As referred to earlier, Liggett says one thing publicly under oath, but a different thing off record to his buddies. One of those buddies is former sheriff and now Chief Deputy Sheriff Tobe Lesenby. The day after Liggett's August 8th, 2023 deposition, Tobe Lesenby was subject to a deposition. When Tobe Lesenby was asked at his deposition how many people he believed were involved in the murder of Abby and Libby, Lesenby provided a different answer than Liggett. He indicated that at least 2 people were involved. The reasons Lesenby gave as to his belief that at least 2 people were involved is that it was difficult for one individual to accomplish what occurred. Now, you will definitely see this when you go through this document. The defense has, I can't remember, it's 50 something, 60 different points, and each one goes in depth about how the crime had to be committed in order for the girls to be positioned in the way that they were, etc., etc. When you read this and you're looking at the logistics, because again, we've never had a coroner's report, we only recently officially found out that he is, that it was a sharp object that unalived him, okay? There's lots of rumors. We've all heard them. We know. But at this point, you know, we were just going on, well, we're not going to 100% believe that because we haven't seen it in writing. In this document, you will see it in writing. And when you see all the things that were done to these girls in this situation, you know absolutely 100% this was not a single perpetrator. It physically could not be, especially in the time period, okay? And there are a ton of things to go over. Okay, when asked if any other law enforcement officers shared this perspective, Lesenby provided a surprising answer based upon what Liggett had testified to under oath the day before. Yes, at least one other law enforcement officer believed multiple people were involved in the murder, can't say that, unaliving of Abby and Libby. Tony Liggett, according to Lesenby's sworn statement, it was common for he and Tony Liggett to have one-on-one conversations. Of course it was. And that Tony Liggett definitely believed that there was more than one person was involved. Okay, yeah. But yet, in your deposition, Mr. Liggett, you just said there was one person and it was Richard Allen. So, A deposition is a legal document. So now you have lied. Somebody's lying here, y'all. It's either Tobe or Tony. But one of them is just telling a big old fat one right there. Tony Liggett, who just the day before under oath claimed that only one person, Richard Allen, was involved in the murders, privately behind the scenes was saying something altogether different in one-on-one conversations with law enforcement friends. Now, this is important because let me just tell you, this is not where this document starts. I pulled some of these pages out and highlighted some things just to go over tonight. Okay, here's the thing. This is the kicker, y'all. Kicker. If Liggett had told Judge Diener that he, Liggett, believed that multiple persons were involved in the crime, and if Liggett also provided Judge Diener with the massive amount of missing details of the Odinite involvement in the unalivings, including evidence of the Odinites' intimate knowledge of the crime scene, then there is no way Diener would have or should have signed the search warrant. Okay, so then here is where it makes sense as to why they filed the Franks, motion last week. Because it was like, okay, I get it, I get what you're saying, but I don't understand what that means, because basically, and it's has to do with a case of not having sufficient evidence. Okay, the police can't just walk in my house and say, you know what, you look like you might have committed a crime. We're coming in and we're just going to check everything in your house out. They have to have probable cause, right? So that's what that motion is about. And it came out and everybody, the defense is saying, we want to file this because you did not have probable cause. Well, according to the PCA that we saw, they did, right? And now it makes sense, okay? It's like, okay, I don't know what you're saying, why? But now, when you read this document, you're like, oh, holy crap. If this is true, then they do have a reason to file the Franks thing. So the court will be considering whether Liggett intentionally or recklessly concealed information and intentionally fabricated facts in his affidavit for search warrant. Liggett's duplicity under oath about the number of people he felt were involved in the murders is just one of the many reasons to support the belief that Liggett intentionally concealed evidence and fabricated evidence in his sworn affidavit. Now, what have we been saying? What have we been saying for years? For one thing, we've been saying for years, somebody's covering up something, all right? I know some people will disagree, but I'm just saying. Now, again, this comes from the defense. They're going to say and do everything to try to get Richard Allen exonerated, as they should. That is their job. So, okay, it sounds like little things. Not so little in a deposition, in my opinion, because that goes into court. But we've already seen, that Mr. Liggett has, not exactly been real truthful. Okay? So that is one thing. But the part that talks about if the judge, okay, so remember, Diener signed the search warrant and then poof, he recused himself, right? We're all like, man, it just made your head spin. You're like, what the crap? And this is starting to make sense, because if this is true, and they basically had Diener sign a PCA or search warrant, whatever, to search Richard Allen and arrest him, and then all of a sudden, people talk, there's more information. At that point, he knew probably what was going on, or had some inkling. That would explain to me why all of a sudden Judge Diener says, oh, you know what? I can't get involved with this. I'm recusing myself. There's just too much. I can't deal with all the press and all the stuff that's going to go. That's crap. I've always said that's crap because you knew when you signed that what was going to happen. I mean, people have been talking about this case for years. How many YouTubers have covered it? You knew. So when he recused himself, I was like, that doesn't sound right to me. It doesn't sound like a good reason. I think something else is up. But, what did we know? Because we didn't know anything. All I could say is it was sus. Um, yeah, that's right, Kelly. Every person that, why isn't that showing up? Okay. I don't know why. I guess it's the way this is done. Oh, every person that Liggett put away will have to be looked at. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yes, the whole timing, y'all are right. Digital, hello digital. Uh, okay. So let me go a little bit over here, and I don't know if I've got these. Okay. Let me look at this. All right. Yeah. So, okay, let me go a little bit further. This is the crime scene. This is what I do not want to cover tonight. And I will say this, if you all want to look at it later this evening, you can try to get the link from my community page. I can tell you this for sure, if you're in my Discord, you can access it. So there you go. If anybody needs a link to Discord, please put it in a comment somewhere and I'll see it and I'll throw up a new link. All right, let me let this play because we're almost at the place. Maybe we are at this place. All right, I'm going to have to make this bigger. So I can't see your comments now. Okay, we're talking about, they are talking about Brad Holder, okay? Actually, let me stop this for just a second. Let me show you some pictures, all right? What came up during this, in this document, you will see that they talk about, it goes from a description of the crime scene to the defense giving all these many reasons that it couldn't be done by one person. And then it talks about the signatures of the Odinites, and it names Brad Holder as well as two people with the last name of Westfall. Those details we will be getting into tomorrow, but let me go to, right, that's gonna pop right up there. Well, let me not close this out. All right. I'm trying to hide. Sorry, I'm not trying to hide evidence. I am trying to hide from y'all. I want some anonymity here for some of the people that share stuff with me. But let me share my screen. And this is from Brad Holder's post. Now, we're going to read some more about how Brad Holder is, why he's named, and why he's a suspect. And this is the part we're going over this evening. Brad Holder is a member of the Sons of Odin. Abby, and we've speculated this, it's come up a million times. Abby was Dink boyfriend. I don't know how that went. She was quite young, but they liked each other. They were talking. That's what kids do now. They talk. But she was involved with Brad Holder's son, Logan. I believe this is Logan. Yeah. So this is from Brad Holder's Facebook page on February 17th, 2017. And this just confirms what they're saying. Had to take Logan to Delphi. This should be fun. And you see where everybody is, giving kind of condolences. Brenda Townsend, and I'm sorry for any people that I'm talking about. I don't know y'all, so I'm just reading the screen, okay? She says, after all that's happened there, why did you take him? Did he know the girls? I sure hope Logan is okay. Brad says, had to. His girlfriend was one of the girls. I sure didn't do it because I wanted to. Well, there are a lot of reasons. As you look at and see this post of Brad Holder to Logan, this is when they're just now finding out that the girls are gone. Again, here's another one where another screenshot where he says one of them was his girlfriend. So he says this, he confirms this over and over, that there was a relationship between Abby and Logan. All these condolences. And thank you to Velvet Underground. I'm going to stop sharing for just a second because, again, I've got to get it somewhere else. To Velvet Underground, who sent me that. And if you look on my community page, you will see, and I'll show them again here, there are a lot of pictures of Brad Holder. And I had to upload them to myself. Let me see if I can find them. Well, my pictures didn't go through. Lovely. Let me refresh this real quick. I emailed them to myself, but I have no idea why it didn't come up here. Alright. Well, let me go back to the other stuff then. It's okay, Cindy, that you're gonna miss it. That's okay. Cindy, I'm gonna be going through this heavily tomorrow. And tomorrow, today just ain't the day for me. I'm just gonna tell you. It's not the day that I want to go through and talk and read out these horrific details. But let's carry on, because there are some things that, come on now, there's some things that I still want to look at. I was going to try to show you Brad Holder. This happened when I was doing this. Look, I don't know. What's crazy? This is crazy. My phone started doing all kind of crazy stuff. Alright. Let me look at this. Let's read this. This is on in there, okay? But this is Trooper Purdy and Trooper... This is not clear on my end. Probably not on yours either. But these are two, is it winners? I'm sorry, and I can't see your comments right now. We're aware of an eerie image on Brad Holder's Facebook page of what appeared to be a faked unaliving scene mimicking Abby and Libby's scene. When Trooper Purdy learned from Becky Patty that Brad Holder was an odinist, at least for a short period of time, he was curious about Brad Holder. This short-term curiosity led to Purdy looking into Brad's Facebook page, where he found a very eerie photograph. This photograph is marked as Exhibit 43. It shows two girls lying on what appears to be the ground of a forest. The girls either are unalive or are posed as if they were unalived. The girls have tree limbs arranged over their bodies. The girl in the forefront of the photograph has her left arm and hand positioned very similarly to that of Abby's left arm and hand, outstretched above her head. The defense has prepared a side-by-side photograph of the mimicked photograph compared with the crime scene photograph of Libby, which is marked as Exhibit 44. Again, that's confidential. Also, both girls are dressed, and the limbs on the girls are not arranged exactly like the limbs and sticks on Abby and Libby. The similarity of that photo found on Brad Holder's Facebook page is pronounced. Pronounced? Is that? I don't know what it's. Yeah. Purdy did not think much of this photograph in terms of implicating Brad Holder. At least that's what he's claiming in 2023. Now, let me go back here to just a second, because this is terrible. I don't know why this is so bad. It was all from screenshots. But let me tell you this. Okay. So and you're going to see this in the documents when you read it. It talks about, and I believe it's Jerry Holman. Can y'all tell me, y'all who have read it, can you tell me that it's one of the investigators, though, okay? They're like, yeah, we looked into odinism because, remember, we've heard forever there were signatures, okay? All this, just like everything in this all comes flooding in and makes sense. If the defense is correct, this makes perfect sense. Remember in the beginning, Robert Ives, so many people have done this clip, as have I in my videos, of Robert Ives saying in the beginning he thought that it was only going to be a couple of days, maybe a week. This thing was going to be solved because the signatures, which we know he also said were non-secular, which has been scrubbed, but he did say non-secular, which means they were religious of some kind in nature. He said because of the signatures, the very odd, the unique signatures, that he thought this was going to be solved in a matter of days. Well, now that makes sense, okay? If, as we know, the crime scene was, and I will tell you there were sticks above Abby's head that made place there post-mortem that made her look like she had antlers, okay? There was the red stuff at the scene, and that was done in a symbolism, okay? But we'll get into that tomorrow. But now, when you think about what Ives has said, and you think about signatures, and then you read this description, you're like, well, holy crap, that's what it was. So now the officers, and this is in here, the officers are saying, you know what, we did look into odinism because the signatures were there. And again, this is in this document. And they said we went and we talked to a professor who studied odinism, the habits, whatever, the rituals, I don't know, studied it, and they believed it was Purdue. And they said, we got some information from him, but then we ruled it out. We said, nah, this isn't what we got going on here. I think that this is not really what we're looking at. Now, when you look at these pages and you read the description, you're like, well, what did you think you were looking at? I mean, I don't know, but you don't see this every day. It's very, very specific. Whew, gets me mad because I'm like, what's wrong with you? So in this statement, they're saying, okay, yeah, we did talk to a professor at Purdue, and they're like, okay, what was the name of the professor? Yeah, you know what? I just can't remember. I just can't remember. Dang, what was that guy's name? You didn't write it down? It's not part of the investigative file? No, we just dismissed it. And you know what? I don't remember his name. I don't know if you can even find him again. Now, I don't know where he's at. He ain't there. I don't know. I don't know. What kind of crappy investigation is that? Even if you don't think it has to do with the crime, even if you truly believe that this is not a part of it, what is wrong with you that it's not in notes, documented? There's not, something with his name, the date, the time that you interviewed him. Do you know how investigation works? Because I don't think you do. I'm sorry, I'm getting heated here. Because this kind of crap makes me mad. So we don't know who told them. Okay? Did they even? At this point, you got Tony saying this to one person, Tony saying that, Tobe saying this and that. And this is all on record in depositions. Did you even talk to somebody from Purdue? Because either you did and you don't want anybody to find him because you don't want him to him questioned, or him or her. Maybe you know that if that person was, questioned, that they would say, yeah, I told them from the very beginning, this is exactly what it is. Or you made the whole thing up. Which one is it? Because you can't be that dumb. Nobody is that dumb. I don't think. Even in Carroll County. All right? And I know in my area, we got some dumb people. But you would think, in an investigation, you would know who you talk to. Oh, but no, they don't. To me, that's just like, at that point, yeah, somebody else should have been brought in. This document goes on to name people who dropped the ball. Jerry Holman, Vito, and there's somebody else. Like, it spells it out. Now, again, this is from the defense. But what they're claiming is not just a matter of opinion. I think Jerry Holman just don't know what he's doing. I think he's withholding evidence. I think Tobe and Tony are in a corruption cover-up. Yeah, I can think that. You can think that. But that's not what's in this document. This document is talking about depositions. It's talking about actual times, places, people, things. And then we get a stupid, after 6 years, we get a stupid, oh, you know what? It was misfiled. That's why we don't have Richard Allen's, original stuff. That's why we didn't look at him, because it was misfiled. The FBI did it. FBI turns around and says, no, we didn't do it. That's on you, buddy. We've had to live with that. So now you start to see all these things that they don't mesh. This is in here. So does it make me think that even if the defense is just really trying to help Richard Allen, that there's a lot of truth to it? Yeah, I certainly do. I certainly do. Ethics. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is interesting. Jinx. Faust, who was a part-time lecturer in Krannert School of Management at Purdue University. Really? Faust. Are you talking about Faust or Faust? Faust? Is that a new person? I don't know who that is. Would they know? That, would be interesting. I know y'all are saying some marvelous things here in the chat, and I don't want to miss it. I'm gonna have to go back and look at a lot of it, and we'll probably talk about it tomorrow. But yeah, it talks about how people dropped the ball. Now, I hate to bring this thing back up here because it is just so bad. But let me see if I can read some more of it. Because what it does is it goes on to say, if you look back down at the very bottom where it says, however, even before Purdy had found that disturbing image on Holder's Facebook page, a tipster had beat him to the punch by finding it much earlier. The contents of a February 16th, 2017 tip was written up in a report designated as, and there's a number, Okay, well, you know how it is with tips. You know what they do with tips? They lose them. That's what they do. Uh, Let me hide this one. All right, and let's go on a little bit because it talks about all of the things that they found with Brad Holder. All right, let me make this where I can see it again. Okay. This tip said the following. Father of Logan Holder and boyfriend of Libby, I think it was supposed to be Abby, social media shows him a member of Vinlanders, posts of half unalived women, and fascination with Gothic figures and symbols out of tree branches. This report shows that Liggett actually approved further investigation of Brad Holder based upon that tip. Okay, well, good. Liggett, you were thinking there for half a second. You had a thought. You had a thought. This very same disturbing image came to the attention of law enforcement a third time by way of a gentleman named Ryan. I don't know if this is Boucher, I don't know. I'm sorry. I do not know how to pronounce that. But Ryan from Georgia. The tip was received by Trooper Joseph, and I can't read that. Y'all see it. On April 12th, 2017, and converted into a report. An unredacted copy of this report is attached and marked as Exhibit 46, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to call it from now Winter. I think it's Winter's report. Ryan has also signed an affidavit detailing his failed attempts to gain the interest of Carroll County law enforcement concerning the information that he discovered on Holder's social media accounts. So you got this boy, like, come on. You got this guy, Ryan from Georgia, who's looking at Holder's accounts, and he's trying to tell Carroll County, hey, I think you got a problem because I think this guy is linked. This is in April of 2017. Why does it take a guy from Georgia? Please tell me. Explain this. Why does it take him to, say, hey, you got a problem? And then he does this affidavit. Okay, that's legal. Again, he knows that if you give an affidavit and you are called into court and it is a lie, guess what? You go to jail. That is perjury. Okay, so people don't usually just make up crap and sign the affidavit and say, okay, ta-da! Because you're going to go to jail if they find out you're lying. So you got Georgia guy over here saying to Carroll County, hey, look over here. This is important, Tony. Okay. So the affidavit is attached. They've got the blah, blah, blah. As the affidavit details, he talked directly to then Sheriff Tobe Leesenby about his findings. The conversation would have occurred sometime before April 12, 2017 conversation with Trooper Winters. Leesenby told Boucher that Holder was not a suspect and quickly dispensed of the phone call as detailed in his affidavit. So, old Tobe, while Ryan is trying to say, hey, I think y'all need to look at this and this is really important, Tobe's like, nah, I don't think so. Nice work, Tobe. Despite Leesenby's comments essentially telling Ryan that Holder had been eliminated as a suspect, Ryan was undeterred. He felt something was off and called the state police post. As detailed in the Winters report, once Ryan provided his ID, he then provided Winters pictures from Holder's media accounts depicting tree limbs on the ground, displaying, let's go on. I'm sorry this is so fuzzy. when I upload this tomorrow and we look at it, it'll be a clear copy. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, runes consistent with Odin belief system. Okay, this is in the report. He wrote that the provided media pictures, okay, that's what's on his Facebook, show unknown young girls believed to be unalive with sticks placed over their bodies. The sticks across the females on Holder's media were believed to be symbols or runes. Now, runes, we'll get into Odinism. Runes are, there's a lot of different things, but they have like an alphabet, okay? And part of the crime scene, as you know, you may have seen on some videos, there is a symbol that looks like the letter F. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. It is a rune, and it is a symbol for certain things depending on which way it's written out, okay? Definitely not a regular alphabet letter, okay? It looks different. Definitely it is symbolic, and I will say this, it was, according to this report, it was painted on the tree with the red stuff, okay, I can't say the word, the red stuff that came from Libby. All right. Now, also in this report, when we look at it, just keep this in the back of your mind. There were a lot of wounds, horrific wounds, okay, on these girls. But the amount of the red stuff at the crime scene was minimal, okay? So you will see when we get into it that even the police had to admit that the girls had to be unclothed at some point because, according to their wounds, they should be saturated, and they were not. So does that hold with the theory that the bodies were moved, or it didn't happen there? Yeah, it didn't. According to the crime scene details, the lack of the red stuff would very much suggest that those girls were not there. They could have been partially. I don't know if they were all the way unalived. I don't know. But definitely, if that is the case, then that is not the scene. The murder scene is not actually where I said the M word. I said the M word. YouTube. Where they were unalived is not where they were found, which some of us have said and speculated, y'all know, over and over and over. Because it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense for the searchers. We've talked about the drones. We've talked about, the thermal, camera. We've talked about the people who were turned away from that area. We've talked about the people who were at the area and said there was nothing there that night. Not when they were looking for Abby and Libby. So if this is correct, and this is in, public document, this is the description of the crime scene, then that was, 100% correct. We weren't crazy. We weren't crazy when we were saying this doesn't make sense to be that close to the bridge, for nobody to see him, for him not to show up on camera. Do you understand what we're saying? And this is why we've had such a problem with what details we've been given. That's why, whether there was a cover-up or not, this is what makes the law enforcement look sus. But let me tell you, in this document, there's like a ton of things that make them look sus. But, these are the things, like, this doesn't make sense. Don't feed us a can of lies and expect us to believe it when it doesn't logically make sense. All right? Now, again, let me say this over and over. This is from the defense. But yet, it does have to be truthful, okay? Judge Gull allowed it to be dropped. So here we are looking at things that we have only speculated before. And it is so much worse. Actually, the whole thing, not just the crime scene, not just the things that I don't want to talk about tonight. Like this whole mess, the Purdue guy, the odinism. It's like, what? It's like a freaking nightmare when you're looking at this. All the things that we thought, here they are. But yet with proof of some kind, or at least enough stuff to make you go, really? Because, sometimes I would even think, am I nuts? When I'm looking at this crime scene and I'm looking at this stuff, I've even wondered myself, have I just gone off the deep end because all of these theories? But then you have all this evidence. So let's go on. All right. It should be noted that law enforcement has to this day still failed to turn over this mimicked murder unalived photograph found on Holder's Facebook page. Okay. Now I do have, and I don't know if you can even see this. I've got it on my phone. Well, this was not a photograph. That's not what I have. Fortunately, defense counsel was able to find Winter's report in the sea of evidence, and upon reading it, understood the potential importance that this photograph may have in terms of Holder's culpability in the unalivings. Well, you think? The only problem is that law enforcement had failed to produce it for the defense. Oh, imagine that. They didn't tell the defense. Geez, I wonder why not. Oopsie. Seriously. So they did locate that, and this is why they traveled to Georgia, okay? I guess they had to vet these pictures. Now, let me show you, because I was going to have it on here, and for whatever reason, let's see if I can make this big. This is, I don't know if you can see this. I'll have this tomorrow because, let me exit. All right. I don't know if you can see. Let me get up there. Can you see this? This is, some of you may have seen this picture. Let me see if I can get it in here good. Can y'all see any of that? It is an Apple product, which sometimes sucks. Okay, there is the picture. This is on, if you see, this is Brad Holder. This picture is a painting, y'all. It says, well, I started back, acrylic. Ugh, acrylic. If you're an artist, painter, you know what I'm talking about. Acrylic. And it says, Hail Odin. So look at, once again, if you can't see it, again, I'm going to upload the picture, but that's what it says. It might be backwards for y'all. I don't know. So, this was on his Facebook page. Now, this is not the photograph of the two girls that seem to be, it's not Abby and Libby, okay? It's like a recreation, I hope. I think it was just like an aesthetic photograph of these girls laying down, but they were in the positions of Abby and Libby, and they had sticks. Not perfect to the sticks, but once you imagine this, reproduce it, right? Oh my God. Let's see. Did Holder post that after the crime, or did someone see it on his social media? And no, he posted it after the crime. That was the whole point. Is that no, that was, let me see if it shows the date on here. Yeah, the date that is on this picture is February 17th, okay? February 17th, 2018. So this is like a year and a few days after Abby and Libby were found, or went missing. And, so he's proud, okay? He's proud. Oh, I started back. What kind of freaking picture is this anyway? Art. I'm not into that kind of art. There are tons of things. I've got pictures. I've got there's just stuff. But and I'm sure a lot of people have it as well. I'm waiting for some people like maybe to find some stuff in their files um so I can share more with you. But yes, uh yeah, so many other stories that didn't match. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let's see what Lambert is saying. Doolin ran a phone history check on RA's phone showing a discrepancy in RA's statement, yet Ellie bosses say it was misplaced. What does that have to do with Doolin's memory of the interview? Memory of interview. Okay. Let me read that again. Doolin ran a phone history check showing discrepancy. Okay. Yet Ellie bosses say it was misplaced. Yeah. Uh, here's what I would say. I don't know how good my memory would be. Let's say I interview someone in 2017 and then by 2022, Lord, I don't know what I did yesterday. How you going to remember all that? Um, and here's a big thing too. If the girls were not there, and we don't know, we know it's a mishmash of crap, okay? Because the guys down the hill is not, it's not like consecutive on that recording, okay? It's guys and down the hill. And law enforcement said that. Bridge guy, young bridge guy, not the same person. We've also heard that bridge guy, not the guy who said guys or down the hill. We got all kind of crap going on here. So it's been a big mess. If we find out that bridge guy is not Richard Allen because the girls weren't even there, or the girls were out somewhere else taken away. If Richard Allen's phone, okay, hypothetically, if his phone is there until a certain time, we know, according to if what Becky and Kelsey say is correct about the time that, the girls were dropped off, the time that they couldn't get in contact with them, the time other people were around, it left a very small window. If Richard Allen's phone was there during that whole time, and the girls were not unalived there, which, according to the crime scene, they were not. They were not. Because where is all the red stuff? Okay? It's not there. The wounds on the bodies, the clothes are not, it doesn't talk about there being a lot of that stuff at the crime scene. Certainly not for the injury. So, we know it was somewhere else. So now what does that do with the timeline for Richard Allen? So, okay. These are a lot of the things that the defense is going to have, says in all these bullet points where it goes in depth on how each step would have had to be made there by one person. You'll see it's impossible. Now, I don't know if he had any involvement. I don't know. Is Cop Facts here? Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, yeah, floodgates opening. Hey, you know what? I am so glad. I am so glad. I'm torn out of the frame, but I am so happy that this is happening. All right, let me look and see if I can read any of the rest of this stuff. I don't know. because this copy is so bad. And again, I apologize profusely. But here we go. I don't know why my phone did weird stuff. All right. Because we've talked a lot and we haven't even gotten into that horrible stuff. And like I said, that will be for tomorrow. We see that they had to chase down the guy in Georgia because, you know, they couldn't get any cooperation elsewhere. They're saying that the defense has still not received Holder's first interviews from February 17th. Well, we'll see. We will see how long that takes for the state to turn them over. Now, I was looking for, and this might be in the stuff that I'm going to cover tomorrow, but there is one interesting thing. Okay, that is definitely the crime scene stuff, so I don't want to get into that. Too much for people. Too much for me. This person. Too much for this person to deal with tonight. One more thing that I want to bring out, and I will show you, it is in the paperwork. I'm not just sitting here making stuff up. They talk about the magic bullet. And what they say is, you know, they had to request all this information, which I don't really understand why it was such a big deal. Okay, in a normal, now let me just say this Delphi case has been anything but normal from the beginning. But in a normal case, when you have someone who is going on trial, the prosecution has to give the defense all of their evidence as to, like, they have to share. Like, you have to know what witnesses are being called. All right. So here's the thing. You know, the defense is like, we're waiting. Come on. We need those files. Yeah, it was like pulling teeth to get the files from the prosecution, which, you know, from a prosecution side, I'm like, yeah, well, you know, I wouldn't want to give up stuff either, but, you know, you have to. It's not a matter of do you want to. So when, and this is not that long ago that they got all this, in this document, it talks about, even though they got all this, they've got like crime scene photos, they've got the coroner's report, all this kind of stuff they've got eventually from the prosecution. However, in these photographs that were taken at the crime scene, y'all, this is mind blowing. The magic bullet was not in those. They said in this document, unless, you know, unless they were just, you know, forgotten, unless it was part of the package that just somehow didn't make it to us. We see no bullet on the ground. Supposedly it was under some leaves in between Abby and Libby. We don't see a bullet. We don't see it, you know, like listed anywhere there. We don't see anybody finding the bullet, retrieving the bullet, anything about the bullet. Like, the bullet's just not there in the crime scene photos. So, all right, either it was there during the crime scene or it wasn't. Because let me tell you something, you know, if you quit processing a crime scene one day, and I know it's got the tape and all this kind of stuff, but you can't, you know, necessarily just wait till whenever and then go back out there, because these woods are, hunters go there. There were houses there. There was law enforcement all over the place with the same caliber bullet. So, like, if you didn't find it right then, how do we know that it was even there? And to me, that was a bombshell. Bombshell? Did I say that right? Bombshell? Because you would think you would have, even if it's not that day, okay? Don't you have a photographer out there? Aren't you documenting? You know, y'all watch CSI? Y'all, nobody's ever here web sleuthing and you don't know at least something about procedure, okay? I probably couldn't pass a, you know, huge test on it, but I know basics, as do you. When you have evidence and you see evidence, the first thing that you do before you touch it is you take a picture. You want to document exactly from different angles. This is how far it was from this. This is what this looked like. Because you have to recreate it, in the jury's mind. You have to be specific. So where was the bullet? Where are the pictures of someone finding the bullet? Even if it's under a leaf, you should have like one of those little tent things with a number on it or something like, oh, look what we found. We didn't see it because it's covered by leaves, but ta-da, here's a bullet. Where are those photographs? And now, in light of all of this stuff, I'm questioning if you produce photographs, are they even real at this point? Because there's been a lot of shady stuff going on. So, anyway, yeah, I read that and I'm like, well, holy crap. How are you going to pin this on Alan if you don't have a viable bullet? We've talked about tons of times how being cycled through a chamber, they're going to tear it apart in court anyway. Was it really that valuable? I don't know if there's, and there it was, if it is, it places him at the crime scene. Or does it? I don't know. What do y'all think? Let me see, Professor Pug. Yeah. Exactly. I don't know. Yeah, we heard some more of what is supposed to be that what that supposed to be the recording. I have no reason to believe that, it's not legit. And I got it from Ruckus. Sorry, I've got something in my eye. But many people have, played with it and looked at and listened to it. I have to say, my opinion on this is that it sounds like, to me, from what I can tell, and it's bad, it's not necessarily definitive, but it sounds like you're under arrest. That is what I hear on that. It's garbled, so up for interpretation, but I think that someone says you're under arrest, which would, hypothetically, have scared the girls. My God, they're on the bridge. If they were on the bridge at that time, oh no, we're under arrest. This is private property, blah, blah, blah. You would go without a struggle down the hill, wouldn't you? Anyway, let's see. Oh, interesting cop facts. Fruit of the poisonous tree. If you don't know what that means, you will soon. Awesome. I don't know, and here's, again, this comes from the defense, so we know that they have an agenda. Okay, you have to be honest. You have to look at both sides. They have an agenda to free Richard Allen, as they should. That is their job. So if you are, are you convinced RA is the perpetrator, then I would say this. Don't be hating on the defense, because that's their job. Okay? Prosecutor's job is to show he is guilty. Got to take all things in balance. However, if the evidence, if all this was just a bunch of hooey, I do not think that, I don't think that Judge Gold would have allowed it to be unsealed. That's just my opinion, because now and it has to have some basis and truth, whether the prosecution may be able to pull apart some of these things and say, no, that's not exactly how it was. But tomorrow, I am at least going to do one live, maybe two. And again, I'm going to go live with CJ tomorrow evening. It's going to be about 6 Central. And we're going to go through a lot of these bullet points. We'll go through the description of the crime scene. Again, I just couldn't do it today. I couldn't. And I gave you my reasons. I really feel a whole lot better talking to y'all, though. You've actually made me calm down. Yeah, because nobody in my family understands when I want to talk about this stuff. But we'll go over that. I know it's late. Y'all, everybody has stuff to do, and I don't want to keep you. But understand that it is going to be hard to hear. It's going to be hard to talk about. And there will be trigger warnings. So if you want to read it, pick up one of those. It's a long document. And it will really make you think. To me, it's a huge bombshell. Whether it's all 100% exactly like the defense says, I do not know. I don't know. But I know that there's got to be enough truth in it that they're going to put it in a legal document, or else they're going to look like fools. Can the prosecution pull it apart again? Possibly. I don't know. We're going to find out, though. But I think it really brings up some viable questions. Again, just the description of the crime scene lets us know that things are not as we have been told. It would be impossible. Okay? So we do know that. We learned that, and then you will hear tomorrow, we'll go over pages of where Brad Holder's wife, Amber, says that he confessed to this crime along with 2 other people, and of the unaliving. And then a lot of this is really just showing his guilt. Now, again, the defense could just be saying, okay, here's your perpetrator. Get their minds off of Richard Allen. Could it be a tactic as far as that and throw Holder under the bus? Of course it could be. But then you also have Amber's testimony, which is in here, affidavit, okay, her deposition or whatever, where she said he did confess. All right, you've got a guy who is really sus to start with, okay? Definitely related. Remember, I did a video months ago that it talks about close relations. I think that's the title of it, close relations. I know everybody was saying, oh, well, that means, it was Mike and Becky and Kelsey and whatever. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be that family. It was close relationships. Okay, these kind of crimes don't usually, especially ritualistic ones, come on. They don't usually, just pick a random person. There is usually a relationship of some kind. Brad Holder's son, Logan, dating Abby. And then all of these things, his paintings, it paints a very, to me, just looking at it, and I don't know, again, if RA had anything to do with it at all, but if you look at the evidence that the defense is throwing on Brad Holder, it makes more sense, honestly, than Richard Allen does, who has no record of doing anything. So, I don't know. It could be hooey. But at least, if nothing else, we know a lot more about the crime scene, how this was done, what happened, and what absolutely did not happen. And unfortunately, we've learned some really bad things about some of the people that have not been telling the truth in this case. So, there you go. I'm done for tonight. Thank y'all so much. Michelle's been lurking. Yeah. And we all have opinions on this. We sure do. But thank y'all for being here. Thank you for letting me have my rants and helping me to calm down, because this was a tough read for me today. I will see you tomorrow. You're gonna, other than the 6 o'clock broadcast, I don't know if I'm gonna do any kind of lives tomorrow. Maybe not. So just be looking for that, notifications. Anyway, I appreciate all of you so much. Whatever you do, y'all, stay safe. For heaven's sakes, stay silky. Try. Right now, I'm sweaty. That's what I am, sweaty. It's still hot. All right. Night, y'all.